Hello, hello, hello. Welcome one and all. Drawing Expressions. Live streaming here on YouTube. I'm Parz. I'm a creative writing guy. And that's what we're going to be doing here today, is doing some creative writing and drinking our beverage of the day. Mine is iced coffee. Depending where you are in the world, I hope you're joining me. Not saying you need to have the iced coffee. You can just, whatever beverage. Okay. Anyways, thank you for being here today. If you've been checking out the chat real quick, my lovely lady love, Alicia, is watching the chat. She is also not feeling her bestest today. So say hi, but otherwise, just, know she's there, but not feeling up to snuff. But I do appreciate you you being here. Thank you. Okay, so but please don't let that stop you from typing in the chat, saying hi, let us know that you're there. And yeah, we will get going with the creative writing stuff. All right, things that I like to cover before we start in with any live. This one included is the guidelines, guideline, because I can't say guidelines rule, that would be just wrong. Guidelines bend, rules break, and that's how we operate here. We operate with the bendy things, not the breaky things. So here we go. Next is the class structure. We do have it split into two. That, I guess, is the royal we. The planner and the pantsers. The planner today, we are going to do just some free writing, hanging out together, starting with a seed word germination. If you know what that is, when we get to that point, just start doing your thing. If you don't know what that is, hang with me. We'll walk through it together, and then we'll do an exercise together. Okay, and lastly, our open art time free expressions. That happens, well, one day prior to this. If you're watching live, if you're catching it on the replay, find us in the Linktree. Yeah, hang out. We are having a small paradigm shift in our timeses. It's not going to affect anything. Well, I mean, look it up. We're basing everything now on Bangkok time, Thailand time. Because 8 a.m. Is just a little early for us to be getting around. So it's 9 a.m. Thailand time, or ICT, Indochina time, if you want the official abbreviation. Okay, all that said, let us jump into, let's do that. Let us jump into getting our minds and our bodies prepped up and ready to go for our writing today. So let's do our square breathing. And again, if you know what that is, great. If you don't, what we do is we inhale for a count of, and I do 5, and then we hold for 5, and we exhale for 5, and then we hold for 5. And you don't have to do the hand thing. That's just me helping along. Okay, here we go. Let me invite you in. Breathing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in. And a little stretch. There. Because it's kind of funny, just how much work your body can do when we're doing something creative, even something as seemingly not physically taxing as writing, but you're still, you're crunched over and you're thinking, and yeah, your body just, it gets beat up. So let us begin by getting my setup set up. And we're gonna come now, come here first. All right. So, yeah, today's is a planner section is going to be a seed word germination. We've been doing a lot of covering of how to write and some of the rules and using stronger language and observing and scribing, and then eventually editing so that you get the content that you would like to have. So today we're going to focus really on the observing and first off, getting an idea to observe, and then we'll scribe it down, do a little bit of editing. It's it's hard to do a finished piece in however long it's going to take us here, half hour, 45 minutes, whatever. If we get there, great. If we don't get there, that's fine too. So apparently I really needed that sip of coffee. So let's talk about what seed word germination is. And real briefly, it's a way to deal with the blank page. If you have time to write and you want to write, but you don't know what to write because there is just so many different ideas that are out there, or maybe you have no ideas, like nothing really seems to jump out. This is just a way to sort of self-create a prompt, and from that prompt, then you can write. So I'm going to take us over now to my screen share. Yeah, so the planner section, the prompt is the SWG, seed word germination. And that is what we're going to do. So this is where I'm going to invite anyone who knows seed word germination to just go on ahead. And if you don't, follow with me because we're going to be covering it now. Here we go. I'm just going to be scrolling. So seed word germination. So you start with a word, and we're just going to make a list of words. And I'm going to scroll just to show real quick where we're going to end up. So here's just this list of words, and they do relate one to the next, to the next, to the next. So I, personal I, and then me, and then I added AT, so meet, and then drop the me, so it's at, and then attain, and refrain, and so on and so forth. So what are the guidelines, not rules, guidelines on this? I'm going to scroll back up. So as we're making our list of words, we start with a word, and if you can't even come up with a word that you're just like, that seems satisfactory, you can always start with I, because, I mean, you are always there. And with I, you can go in so many different directions just right off the bat. So for instance, if the first word was I, the second word could be me, because it's the synonym, means the same. It could be I, the visual organ, which is the homonym, or sounds the same. Or I think, it's a capital I, so it's a description. It's the first letter of icon, or any number of words. It's inside big, so that counts. And then the catch-all bucket is it's totally unrelated, and this is so that you can't paint yourself into a corner. You just come up with a new word and you keep going. Okay? And the whole idea is that this is just a list of words, right? There's really not a lot of meaning aside from that they're related, and it's just a way to sort of generate the list. Okay. So I'm going to scroll back, and so you can just sort of, again, take a quick look here now that you've seen how we're getting there, how they all just sort of seem to relate. And it's, if you have an idea or a phrase, you can like list it out in one line, or you can just have words down below. So like this Center for the Performing Arts, it's just like Center for the Performing Arts. Because really we just want a list of words. That's all we're shooting for. Because we're going to grab a few words and then we're going to use them as prompts. And then those prompts, as they interrelate with each other, will create the story. So let's do that together. I am going to come back into my, here we go, my blank page. This is my seed word germination. And given that we're sort of equidistant between Canadian Thanksgiving, which is in October, and American Thanksgiving, which is the end of this month, November, it seems like a great place to start would be the word grateful, because that's, first off, it's, what are you grateful for? And Alicia, and she had this wonderful idea ages and ages ago. She said, let's do our grateful fors. You know, what is it that we are grateful for? And we're just going to share around the table as we get ready to eat and be grateful for the food. So it's a wonderful tradition that she brought. And so that's where I'm going to start. Grateful. And and I knew I was going to start with this. This is about the only thing that I have pre-planned on this, even though it's the planner section. And I look at grateful, and I think of great, and it's just like, well, great is like you can grate cheese. You get like a grate in the street when it's all filled up. It's like all leaves and debris and whatnot. To grate on one's nerves, which is sort of the same type of thing. The word great is not really in grateful, is it? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm a writer. My job is words, so I'm just going to, I'm going to spell my version the way I want it to, but there we go. Got the little underline red of I don't like this from spell check, but that's okay. I'm going to spell grateful that way today because it's great. All right. Enough of my little thing going off here. So we'll just go with great, and then rate, and a rate. Rate reductions are always lovely, especially when it comes to like taxes and fees and whatnot. So reduction. Now, reduction is a cooking term too, isn't it? So we do reductions for like sauces, right? So I'll do sauce. Sauce. Now I can go saucy. Sauce. I think I spelled that right. Did. Which means a little bit fresh, right? So fresh or cheeky. It's another lovely word meaning sort of the same type of thing. Fresh. Fresh. Now, I don't know why. Fresh fish. I just sort of like how that goes together. So fish. And people fish for compliments. So I'm going to go compliments. And you can see as we're going along here, we're just sort of, coming up with this little list. I'm going to do a few more, and then we're going to grab some. Compliments. Compliments. We fish for compliments. What might a good compliment be? Smart. That's one of my favorite ones. Smart. And to look smart means that you look well dressed, that you're well made up. So I'm just going to say well dressed. Well can also be a container of water, right? In a big old thing of water. So I'm just going to say water. Water is blue. Not. And blue is a color. And I'm going to put the Canadian spelling in there, which of course spell check still doesn't like. I thought I found the control for that. Apparently I didn't. Okay. I've got some words. Now I'm going to grab 3 of them, and I'm going to use them as the basis for my story. So to keep things from scrolling back and forth, I'm just going to come over here, and real quick, I'm going to grab 3. I love my properly spelled grateful. So I'm going to grab that, of course. Let's get down to a new page. There we go. So, oops. There we go. I like fresh. So let's put in fresh. And let's grab water. And again, I'm not making any sort of, I'm just kind of grabbing whatever it is that is of interest. I'm going to come back to the sharing the screen. There we go. So there's our 3 prompts from the list: grateful, fresh, and water. And again, my way of spelling grateful, at least for today. What are we going to do with this? Now this is the point where we start to observe, okay? And we let the different ideas sort of percolate, like good coffee. Oh, good coffee. Good coffee. Okay. And we could have an idea where it's like fresh water, and that is perfectly fine and dandy and okay. But I like to sort of surprise things, make it a little bit less anticipated, right? So we'll maybe have fresh somewhere and then water somewhere else and not have the two relate. Grateful, fresh, water. Where are we going to go? Well, I think the misspelling of grateful is maybe the center point of our story. So let's just sort of kind of work with that and see where fresh and water pop in. Now, something I forgot to mention here, it's a guideline to use any of these prompts inside your story. You don't have to. This is just intended to get your mind going and to start working with an idea, observe it, and then start to scribe. It's not supposed to be a stressful thing where you're trying to figure out, oh my goodness, I need to fit in these words in this order. Like, no. If you really want to challenge yourself, put in one or more, or put them in order, all 3, right? You can do that, but you don't have to. This is all guidelines. Okay. So, I think I'm gonna, in order to have the most impact, because if someone says grateful, they're not gonna know that I am deliberately spelling it this way. I'm not gonna say misspelling, I almost did. So we're gonna have it be, someone is writing the grateful so that we can see, and maybe we'll just have it kind of go on in something like that. So we'll just open it up. So I am grateful for the it's Thanksgiving, so Thanksgiving thing. So let's just not fight the Thanksgiving. Let's just kind of maybe throw that in. I am grateful for the feast before me today. Oops, and let's put a period in. I am grateful for the feast before me today. Let's see now here. Let's have a person who has just written this. And I'm Bob. I'm not really coming up with a lot of good names or anything right now. So a lot of the stuff we would kind of go back and clean up on edit. We're just going to scribe some stuff down, have some placeholders, just to start to get an idea that's forming and going. So Bob sat back in his chair, looking at the sentence he'd just, I don't want it capped. Why is it doing that? I don't want it capped. Here. He'd, wow, I'm just having a wonderful time here. Okay, sentence he'd just typed. He just typed. The character in his newest novel, currently untitled, was looking down at scraps he'd scrounged from from the bin behind a grocery store. Okay. So we have novel being written. Someone is grateful that they have found this food inside of a bin inside the grocery stores. Yeah, they're throwing it away. Okay, maybe with this opening bit, we can go somewhere where we talk about how this character is based on maybe Bob's life. So let's have maybe something like that. Let's have it follow along here. So let's, instead of ending that paragraph, so Bob sat back in his chair. He just typed the character in his newest novel, currently untitled, was looking at scraps he'd scrounged from the bin behind a grocery store. And it set Bob on a journey of memory. Okay, there we go. Now we can sort of open up the idea here of Bob's journey of poverty and how he sort of maybe experienced it. Maybe we can even find out why it is that Bob is spelling grateful the way he's spelling grateful. And of course, we've got fresh and water that's out there as well. And it seems like that's going to tie in pretty quick. Okay. Here we go. Life hadn't always been easy for Bob. Not that it was a walk in the park now. But there had been a capitalization again. Had been, why is it doing that? Okay, had been, here we go, a time when finding a full bin would have been an absolute treasure. And having it full of fresh vegetables was fresh vegetables, yeah, we'll just leave it at fresh vegetables, because you don't want to have the idea that they're there, that they're rotting, that you still want to say that they're good. Having it full of fresh vegetables was a rarity. I'd have never lived this life, and so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm just making stuff up as I'm going along. So that is also part of it as well. If you're not writing what you know, just be aware you're making it up. It's not actually true, or it may not be actually true. Okay. Okay. Let's see now here. But when he did find, let's see, when he did have one of those treasure-filled days, it was, and not just any type of great, but full of great. Thus, Bob's spelling great. Full. Okay. Treasure, and I'm just going to include, I've come back up here into the absolute treasure, and I want to make a mention of water real quick, and so we can get the water word incorporated in. And treasure and fresh water, a delight. So we can just put that in there. There we go. So we've explained grateful. We have included fresh. We have included water. We have just sort of this basic idea now of having Bob writing. And so now we've got, right, so that this is where we are. So it feels like we've sort of explained some stuff, and we sort of wrap this story up into some sort of encapsulated piece. I'm not saying it really well. Let's see if I can do it and then have it make sense. So life hadn't always been easy for Bob. We've got the novel, and let's see now here. So where do we go? Let's see now here. We can go with people who really know where to go. I'm just going to leave it here. I'm a little bit lost as to where it would go. There's a few places that I think it could potentially go, and I'm having trouble sort of choosing between what routes. We could have people who made fun of Bob for the way he spells grateful, and then he's got to explain it. We can have it be like a little private thing that he holds on to. Maybe people don't know about Bob's history, and so it doesn't really work out, right? So there's different ways we can go, different directions, and if this were a substantially longer piece, we could explore many of them. And that's part of the delight as well. Anyways, that's just some ideas as to where we could go. Now, with what we've got here, let's see if we can maybe edit just a little bit and maybe help to give a direction, because that sometimes helps too, right? If you start to clean things up a little bit. So I am grateful for the feast before me today. Bob sat back in his chair looking at the sentence he just typed. The character in his newest novel, currently untitled, was looking down at scraps he'd scrounged from the bin behind a grocery store, and it set Bob on a journey of memory. Life hadn't always been easy for Bob. Not that it was a walk in the park now, but there had been a time when finding a full bin would have been an absolute treasure, and fresh water a delight, and having it full of fresh vegetables was a rarity. But when he did have one of those treasure-filled days, it was great, and not just any type of great, but full of great. Thus Bob's spelling grateful. Here we go. This, I think, and it's that feeling that Bob wanted to impart onto his character. That, I think, ends it nicely, at least for this little bit here. Just out of curiosity, if we were to do sort of a word count, 142 words, if you were looking to do, say, like a 100-word story, you would have to shave some words out of here. Um, I would be challenged actually to really get some of these details out, but you could if you wanted to do it in a 100-word story where you're editing and you're trying to just keep the very, very basics in there. So you could maybe throw out the whole idea of Bob writing a novel, and it's Bob scrounging. If you wanted to like have it be more like a Bob memoir, or we're following Bob in his daily life as he is scrounging for the food, and we make it more immediate, more real, and that can be a very rewarding experience both as a writer and a reader, right? So maybe these details that we've put in about the novel writing, maybe they just don't belong, or maybe they do. It's all up to you because you are the writer. Okay. And I think with that, I'm going to set this aside, and maybe it gets worked later, maybe it doesn't. The cool thing here, I'm gonna just go back to the room. The cool thing about working these little stories and little vignettes and whatnot is that they can turn into more elaborate stories. So, for instance, the bit that we did, I think it was last week's live stream, I think, where we were working with, oh God, I'm coming up blank now. Oh, this is horrible. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second to take some coffee and give myself a chance to remember what the heck it is I'm trying to say. Hmm. Okay, I remember now. So last live stream, we worked, or I worked a story, and it was basically someone who was, or who is immortal, and they get buried as they're approaching death, and then their spirit is able to leap into a new body and kick the soul of the person who is they're going into out. Um, and so that was something that I did for Halloween, kind of a psychological creepy kind of thing, and that has now been worked into a submission into the Moss Piglet magazine that I love so much. But that started with just sort of playing with an idea, and then having somebody who listened to it and recognizing it as, oh my gosh, you can use it for this something else, because I didn't hear it. It was my lovely lady love. And this demonstrates having someone in your life as well who listens to your work, who likes to give suggestions on how maybe things can develop. Where you can banter, right? So they have an openness to talk about what it is that interests you and what you're writing about, and the storylines and whatnot. Anyways, invaluable. So this piece could end up somewhere else. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But it's just sort of, it gets the mind going. You've moved in a certain direction with this particular piece of story. And if it gets used in the future, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. It's all good. And that's really all I'm trying to say. Okay. So now let's come back to our breathing and our stretching and sort of give a official end to our planner section. So I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath in, and we're going to do a little bit of stretching. Okay, so here we go. Breathing in. And stretch. And try not to be too aggressive in your stretching, which I have a tendency to be sometimes, and to hurt myself when I do it. Okay. Good. Let's come back to the room. So I'm going to just bring up my my notes here. So it is Pantser time. And what I want to talk about today in Pantser time is there's a thing going on in the month of November. It's the National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo. That's a mouthful. And so that started November 1. And the basic idea behind this is that the participants are encouraged to get from through the month of November. At the end of November, you have a 50,000 word framework for a novel. It's not complete. I guess in my writing terms, it would be scribed, right? So you've observed your idea or ideas, you've got them onto paper. Now you've got, at the end of the month, you have a novel length manuscript that you can then start to really edit, and then you're ready to try and get it published or whatever, right? So it's an idea just to try and get people writing the books that people always seem to have inside of them. So I'm not participating. That's a bit too much commitment in too short a time. So yeah, I'm not participating. But what I want to talk about in here is the organization that runs NaNoWriMo. They came out, it was last month, the month before, somewhere in here. It was fairly recent. They chimed in on the use of AI in the creative process for participating in this whole writing month. And they said that AI is perfectly fine and dandy, and anyone who disagrees with AI being perfectly fine and dandy, and they had some choice words for those folks. So I wanted to sort of chime in, not so much on NaNoWriMo and my opinion on what they had to say. I wanted to chime in on AI in general, in the creative writing process. I mean, if you're going onto Google and you're using, AI for, searching for the best sushi restaurant in the state, that's that. But I'm actually going to refer to it in the creative writing process. And I'm going to start with, why are you writing? And for people who their jobs depend on, pumping out a lot of content and having it be very edited right off the bat, and they're not looking for a lot of innovation or whatever, as a tool to kind of make things go quick, they will probably be looking at AI and, using, and I'm sure they already are, and people are writing term papers using AI. I mean, so for me, in my writing process, I enjoy every part of it. And I feel like it would be a disservice to myself to hand part of the creative process, no matter how long it takes, no matter how painful it can be sometimes, like not coming up with ideas just on the fly here, during this live or whatever. But I still enjoy it, and I still enjoy the process. And so for myself, I will not use AI. I want everything to come from me. And every time I touch my writing, every time I touch my manuscript, it is yet another opportunity for me to put myself into that manuscript. It is another opportunity for me to just have that little bit of creativity that goes into the piece. And it's that opportunity for me to learn from what it is that I am doing. So the ability to just to, you know, your word choices and to play with word, to play with story, to play with all of this stuff. I don't want to give up that playtime. I don't. It's all fun. And so for me, creative writing is all about that. And so yeah, so I will not use AI, and but I will never judge anyone for using it or for not using it. It's, you know, it's all your decision. AI is, it's the future. It is coming. There's very little we can do to stop it, and not that we'd ever really want to, because it is probably going to be more efficient, and it's going to lead to better sushi restaurants choices. But for me, and in my creative writing process, that is, it's just, it doesn't have a place, and so it won't. It's sort of reminiscent of a time back in the, I think it was the 1990s, and at least in the area where I was working, bread machines were like the thing, and like everyone had bread machines, and they were all making these custom recipes with breads, and like you go into a workplace, and it would smell like a bakery, because, you know, people are making all these breads and whatnot. And they did it for a while, and but if you go into the stores now, your ability to find the bread makers, they're just not there, because most people decided it just wasn't worth the time, the effort, the trouble, the money to make custom pumpernickel. They could just go to the store and buy it. For me, I'm going to be the guy that's going to continue making the bread the old-fashioned way, and that's just it. Okay. So those are my thoughts there on AI. No place in my writing process for it. Okay. So that pretty much covers what it was that I was looking to do today. And I see that I've got, usually, you know, I'm trying to squeeze in, you know, maybe another little thing here or thing there to get me to the top of the hour. 40 minutes. I'm feeling like this is pretty good. So I am hopeful that, yeah, I think I'm just going to end it here, because I'm happy with it. So let's do our closing things. So the first is the drawingXpressions haiku, a creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe. And now we go to the hashtags and links and email addresses and all of that good stuff. So I do really want to hear from you, and what is it that you're doing in terms of writing. Love to see what you're up to. So yeah, there's different ways you can get a hold of me. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just going to bring it back to here to say thank you so much for spending 40-ish, 45 minutes-ish with me, hanging out. I really hope that you find seed word germination to be helpful, and to help you battle the blank page. And actually, if you ever need to find a reminder on how to do seed word germination, there is a class, I think it's a video, battling the blank page. I don't think it's a live stream, but yeah, it's there. And otherwise, come and hang out with Free Expressions. Come and hang out with me next week. Anyways, I look forward to seeing you all then, and thank you for joining me now. So one last time, thank you so much. See you next time.